Trump wants to take over Gaza, Musk's rifling through the government at the quickest pace ever, and a striking tariff reversal. Hey everybody, I'm Tony with The Other Side. Sit back, grab a cup of Joe, and let's get into it. First off, let's see exactly what he said at the press conference here.
The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and...
Look at the smirk on Netanyahu's face.
...buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly.
Now, here's what I think is going to happen. Now, these guys have been at war literally for over 100 years. I think we're going to end up poking a bear and bringing some of that home here. Because we're basically saying we're going to kick all the Palestinians out and we're going to maintain shop there. It's going to be U.S. soil. We're going to own it. You heard him say we're going to own it. Now, my guess is something very bad is going to happen here on U.S. soil. Not over there on U.S. soil, but over here where we currently have the continental United States.
To restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respected nation again. A lot's happened in the last couple of weeks. We are actually a very respected nation again. I ended the last administration's de facto arms embargo on over $1 billion in military assistance for Israel. And I'm also pleased to announce that this afternoon, the United States withdrew from the anti-Semitic UN Human Rights Council and ended all of the support for the UN Relief and Works Agency, which funneled money to Hamas and which was very disloyal to humanity. Today, I also took action to restore a maximum pressure policy on the Iranian regime, and we will once again enforce the most aggressive possible sanctions, drive Iranian oil exports to zero, and diminish the regime's capacity to fund terror throughout the region and throughout the world. We had no threat when I left office. Iran was...
What he's saying here is that we were supplying aid to Hamas. Now, Hamas obviously has been bombing Israel and vice versa. Hamas is basically the religious group that's now in power over there. They were voted in and they haven't left. In fact, I don't think there's been any elections over there since. However, you can think of them like the Democrats and Republicans. That's Hamas and whoever the other party was. But they're currently in power, and they're the ones that just bombed Israel and vice versa. They're getting blown apart now. So we're coming to their aid. One quick thing to note, I don't know if it's fair to say that we were coming to the aid of Hamas versus the Palestinian people. Now, you got to keep in mind that the Palestinian people may not all be Hamas. They're just a group of people. And basically, right now, they're living in an open-air prison because they don't have ports coming in and different things like that. So I believe that's where the aid was going to. I could be wrong. So you guys got my feel on that. I'm not sure I like it. I'm sure what's going to happen is if we ended up going out there and developing it, I'm sure there'd be a bunch of Trump towers all over the place. I don't know if we're trying to turn it into like a Middle East Riviera or something. That strip of land is right on the ocean. So I don't know. But I just don't know how displacing 2 million people out of that area, putting them, I mean, they're essentially going to be refugees at that point, and we're going to have to figure out a place. Maybe we're going to move them on the other side of Israel and put them with the rest of the Arabic people. However, one of the places they were talking about putting them is over in Jordan, and he rejects the plan to remove Palestinians from Gaza and the West Bank. So Jordan's King Abdullah II reaffirmed his rejection on any plans that include displacing Palestinians from Gaza or the occupied West Bank, a day after Trump announced plans to relocate them. Trump has proposed moving Palestinians from Gaza to Jordan and Egypt, both key U.S. partners in the Middle East. His Majesty the King stressed the need to stop Jewish settlement activities. You got to understand. A lot of the Jewish population was displaced after World War II, and a lot of them moved over in that area of the world. And what happened was the Arabic people and them started fighting over places like their capital of Jerusalem. His Majesty the King stressed the need to stop Jewish settlement activities and rejects any attempt to annex lands and displace Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, stressing the need to establish the Palestinians on their land. So the Palestinians truly believe this is their land, and Israelis believe it's their land. And we're coming in and kind of going to tell them their business. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, and other Arab allies issued a statement last week reaffirming their long-held desire for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and pledging their continued full support of the steadfastness of the Palestinian people in their land. Now, keep in mind, a lot of the population in Palestine are Arabs, and a lot of the population in Israel are Jewish. So different people, different ideologies, things like that. So I'm definitely going to be paying close attention to this. I don't think that we necessarily need to be involved in it. Definitely no ownership over there. But powers that be seem to think differently. But enough of that for right now. Let's talk about Musk rifling through the government. So straight from the AP, Musk is rapidly consolidating control over large swaths of the federal government with President Trump's blessing, sidelining career officials, gaining access to sensitive databases, and dismantling a leading source of humanitarian assistance. Now, a lot of that could be back to the whole Hamas thing. He now has access to the Treasury and all Social Security numbers and how much payment people are getting for Social Security, things like that. The speed and scope of his work has been nothing short of stunning. And I've got to say, I don't know if this dude's a robot or an alien or what, but I know that the last place I worked, my CEO was pulling his hair out. Now, this dude is the CEO for Tesla, the Boring Company, Neuralink, Starlink. What else? There's a couple others out there, and SpaceX, and doing a tremendous job over here. Whether you like it or not, the man's got energy. I don't know when he sleeps or how he sleeps, but he is rifling through our government at the fastest pace I've ever seen anybody do anything, while also being the CEO of all those other companies. What kind of smack is this dude taking? In a little more than 2 weeks since Trump took office, the world's richest man in the universe actually has created an alternative power structure inside the federal government for the purpose of cutting spending and pushing out employees. None of this is happening with congressional approval, which is odd to me. You'd think we'd have laws that would keep this kind of thing to a minimum, or if not squelch it altogether, inviting a constitutional clash over the limits of presidential authority. And all the while, Trump says Musk is doing his bidding. However, I think Trump might be doing Musk's bidding. I mean, the richest man in the universe, literally doing whatever he wants without congressional approval. I don't know how he's doing any of this. So Musk has been named a special government employee, which subjects him to less stringent rules on ethics and financial disclosures than other workers. Trump has given Musk office space in the White House complex, where he oversees a team of people at the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. The team has been dispersed throughout federal agencies. Man, some of these dudes are like 19 years old, getting access to your data. Should we be scared? It'll fix itself eventually. And I gotta say, the guy's bright, but over on X, man, he sure does say some stupid stuff. I mean, let's take a look at the liberal media real quick.
In the building behind me, Elon Musk is seizing power from the American people. Elon Musk spent $280 million to buy an election for Donald Trump.
And by the way, this is Elizabeth Warren.
Elon Musk is here to collect on his investment. Yes. He is here to seize power for himself. We are here to fight back. Yes.
Oh, I'm sure the MAGA dudes are going to call this an insurrection.
Grabs control of America's payment system. Yes. This is the system that makes sure that your grandpa gets his Social Security check on time. This is the system that makes sure that your mom's doctor gets paid for her Medicare exam. Elon Musk wants the power to turn that on, to turn that off. No one elected Elon Musk to nothing. Not one Democrat in America voted for Elon Musk.
All right, it gets a little long at this point. She just says Democrats, Republicans, liberals, or any other party voted for Elon Musk, which is true. However, he was all over the campaign. So obviously the liberals are freaking out, and then we've got the MAGA dudes freaking out, saying that they're causing an insurrection. I don't know where we're gonna go with this. Obviously, if he was doing something illegal, I'm sure Congress would be all over it. So I'm not too worried about it. And what's up next? About the border crisis. So obviously the tariffs went into place, and then we had a huge stock market decline, 600 points, and then the tariffs were magically erased. This is probably the funniest meme I've seen all day. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. So I offered him what we're already doing, basically putting troops at the border. Both sides of the border already has troops. That's the same for Canada as well as Mexico. And that's Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico. And with those tariffs in place, we now had another major issue. The post office said they're not going to take packages from Hong Kong and China. But then they lifted that ban literally, I don't even know if it was 24 hours later. So basically they were saying, hey, we don't know what to do with all these tariffs. We don't know, do we have to tell the consumer, people like you and me, to pay the extra 10% on this? Or how are we going to deal with all these consumer goods? At first, they said all packages stop. Now they've said it's fine, apparently. So the USPS reversing course a day after placing a ban on all inbound packages from China and Hong Kong. The post office had announced Tuesday that it would no longer accept parcels from China and Hong Kong after the U.S. imposed an additional 10% tariff on Chinese goods, and ended a customs exemption that allowed a small value parcel to enter the U.S. without paying tax. The Postal Service reversed course Wednesday, but gave no reason. So, oops. They said it would work with Customs and Border Protection to implement a collection process for the new China tariffs to avoid delivery disruptions. So basically, we didn't have anything in place to resolve these matters. And again, if you buy something from Temu or maybe even a video card, you gotta pay. So in other news, Trump also said that people need to come back to the office or would get terminated. However, we're also seeing that the federal buildings chief says 50% space reduction, which means they're going to be selling off 50% of the federal buildings that we own. So where are those workers going to go? Let's take a look. Michael Peters, Commissioner of Public Buildings Service within the Government Services Administration, said the agency is looking at cutting up to half of total real estate portfolio over the coming years. I'm just getting ramped up, but I think initial review says the number could be up to 50% reduction on our square footage across the portfolio. We're not going to do that in the next 6 months, but we're going to try to do this as rapidly as we can. Timing's not clear, but we want to be a good example, and we should advocate our space and move in with someone else and cohabitate. for lack of a better term, which is something that many people have resisted. The problem, like, what are you going to do? Go in government on one side and Allstate on the other? I mean, a lot of these government workers have clearance that maybe someone can't cohabitate with, unless he's really referring to putting two agencies together, which I'm totally good with. If we're not using those buildings, sure, get rid of them. But it's still a problem for the people that need to go back to work if they don't have a place to go back to. We need a drastic transition in our portfolio from owned properties. We're failing at our mission to deliver space cost effectively to our customer agencies, and space that can be used to accomplish their missions. Basically what he's saying is a lot of these places probably should be condemned. Now, I've been to DC. I haven't seen anything like that. I haven't been in every building, obviously. I didn't realize that some of their work environments were like that, but from what I've seen, they all looked pretty nice, and a lot of them look like they're built to last forever. But this definitely works into Trump's plans to run in and gut the government. And this is what I was talking about earlier about the people that were working from home and now need to come back into the office. Peter acknowledges concerns of whether the agencies will have enough space to accommodate all their employees on a full-time basis. That's a $64,000 question, right? It's how many people are coming back, and when are they coming back? Comprehensive assessment is underway. So they're talking about selling off all this stuff before even seeing how many employees are going to need access to the space. But I will say, liberals are going crazy over this stuff. Not only the selling of the buildings, but really just the gutting of the government itself. I can tell you from like my Facebook feed, a lot of my MAGA friends, they're loving it. But at the same time, they'll agree with literally anything Trump or Elon Musk says. And I do mean anything. All right, guys. Well, that's about all I've got time for right now. But don't forget to check in later where I'm going to have all the latest updates for you. I am going to talk a bit about tech with humanoid robots, DeepSeek, and how they may have fooled the market, brought down the stock prices of some of our U.S. stuff, and we'll go from there. At any rate, if this is the type of content for you, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you later.